Good afternoon. I'm Police Major Maria Cecilia Gitang from the PNP Forensic Group. I am going to discuss the topic of awareness and examination of dangerous drugs. Dangerous drugs are substances that affect or control the central nervous system and cause physiological, emotional, and behavioral changes in a person. While drug dependency or addiction are cluster of physiological actions wherein a person will have a strong desire to take a certain drug and the difficulty to control it. So, the signs of drug abuse include being withdrawn from family activities. They seem to have a lot of money or are always asking for money. They steal or lose possessions which they value before. They become secretive. They do not take care of their personal hygiene anymore. They are mostly awake most of the time or sleeping most of the time. It depends on the classification or type of drug which these persons were abusing. They may have weight gain or weight loss, be hyperactive or have too little energy. They drop old friends and their activities, lose interest in school and other activities. We now proceed to the classification of dangerous drugs. First is according to the method of production. We have natural drugs found in as active ingredients of or secondary metabolic products of plants and other living systems, which can be isolated through extraction, like morphine, marijuana, cocaine, and ephedrine. Then we have semi-synthetic, which are products of natural source but have also undergone a chemical process, like heroin from morphine via the acetylation process, codeine from opium, marijuana oil from hashish. Then we have the synthetic drugs, which are completely artificial, which are produced in a laboratory, usually an illicit laboratory or clandestine laboratory, like methamphetamine hydrochloride, which can either be from phenylacetone or P2P, or it can also use ephedrine as the raw material. Then we have the designer drugs, which have been modified, the molecular structures of which have been modified to optimize the effect, and also the reasons of altering these molecular structures are to bypass the laws and regulations governing the control of these substances, like the MDMA with the combined effect of a stimulant and depressant, and this is not included in RA 6425 yet. But MDMA is now included in RA 9165. We have ketamine, which are used by veterinarians and still not included in RA 9165. And nitrazepam, which is 10 times stronger than the ordinary depressant. So once this modified or designer drugs have been recognized by the competent authorities, they will now be considered as controlled substances. So according to law, we have the prohibited drugs, which are not legally sold unless otherwise authorized by a competent authority. Then we have the regulated drugs, which are legally sold with a prescription, like the analgesics, which relieves pain. For example, the aspirin reduces pain by inhibiting the pain-inducing event, whereas morphine intercepts the pain signal after it is produced. But aspirin does not produce euphoria, while morphine has side effects such as deep relaxation and euphoria. For the depressants or downers, these are the categories of drugs. They are classes of drugs that depress the functions of the central nervous system, which reduce to reduction of anxiety and slowed heartbeat, like sedatives and sleeping pills. Hallucinogens are drugs that alter the perception of time and reality. The movement, thought, perceptions, vision, and hearing are also affected. Narcotics are generally painkillers and sleeping pills. And we have the stimulants, which are the opposite of the depressants. They stimulate the central nervous system to keep an individual awake most of the time. And sometimes, people who take stimulants does not experience hunger. Most of those who take the stimulants, the reason of taking them is for them to get thinner. So these are the harmful effects of dangerous drugs. For example, we have the stimulants, which increase temporary alertness of physical disposition. We have shabu or methamphetamine hydrochloride. These are the general effects of shabu. There is anxiety, irritability, and irrational behavior. We have, for the long-term effects, we have psychosis, which is similar to schizophrenia, and difficulty in concentrating. One of the dangers also that is included in the harmful effects of shabu are the dangers from injection, using contaminated needles, and may lead to risk of infections, may also lead to acquiring AIDS. These are photos which show the receding gums of long-term crystal meth users. And this photo shows the horror of methamphetamines. These are pictures of one individual, which shows his photo before when he was age 23 and when he was age 25. At this photo, he has not been abusing methamphetamine yet, while on this photo, he is shown to have been abusing methamphetamine hydrochloride already. There are changes in his skin, showing scars and bruises. The facial musculature and fat is decreasing because of, usually they are not eating well. Their teeth and gums are receding. Then we also have cocaine as stimulants, which is usually taken in through sniffing using the nose or the nostrils. So these are the short-term effects: and intense high followed by intense depression, diet and sleep problems, increased risk of heart attack and stroke, paranoia, and intense drug craving. These are the long-term effects, including severe depression and permanent damage to blood vessels of the heart and brain. This is called a perforated septum, which may also be a harmful effect of the usual or the taking of cocaine using the nostrils. Our septum over here will become perforated because of the concentration or the strong effects of cocaine. These are hallucinogens. We have ecstasy or the designer drugs MDMA. These are the effects of ecstasy in the body. Usually these are called as party drugs, taken during parties to increase their euphoria. Marijuana is usually rolled into a cigarette like a cigarette, and it is also smoked because the psychoactive component of marijuana is tetrahydrocannabinol, and it is usually taken into through smoking or through burning. So these are the long-term effects: psychosis, damage to the lungs and the heart, and worsening the symptoms of bronchitis, and it reduces the body's ability to fight lung infections and illnesses. So these are the examinations of being conducted with the dangerous drugs. We have the physical, these are qualitative examinations. We have physical tests, ocular inspections, and weighing, and then taking of representative samples. Then we have the color tests, which are only presumptive indicators of the possible presence of a substance concerned. We are using specific chemical reagents into a sample, like the Simon's test and Marquis test for the methamphetamine hydrochloride. This is because many substances give distinct colors when applied with various chemical reagents, and they may be specific for the presence of the functional groups in a structure. So we also conduct, after the color test, and there is a presumptive indication of a presence of a substance, we now conduct confirmatory examination using highly specific and highly sensitive techniques to confirm the result of the color or the screening test. So we use, for confirmatory testing, we use chromatography and mass spectroscopy. We are also using thin layer chromatography, a simple separation technique which can also be used for identification. So for methamphetamine hydrochloride, this is the chemical structure. If you can see, we have secondary amine functional group and an aromatic functional group. These are the chemical properties of methamphetamine hydrochloride. And its physical appearance may be white, coarse, brittle crystals, or usually we identify them as white crystalline substance. For examination, this is the color test used, the Simon's reagent with sodium carbonate, ethanolic acetaldehyde, and sodium nitroprusside, which is the indicator. Since methamphetamine is a secondary amine, it gives a blue coloration, which is the Simon O complex, when using a Simon's reagent. That is because of the secondary amine functional group of methamphetamine hydrochloride. And then for Marquis reagent, the functional group being identified is the aromatic compound. And this forms an orange to brown colored product with the Marquis reagent. So for confirmatory, we use TLC, and if we are very lucky, to use GCMS in the laboratory. For marijuana, this is the chemical properties and the physical properties of marijuana. It contains three compounds which are called cannabinoids. We have cannabidiol, cannabinol, and the psychoactive component of marijuana is tetrahydrocannabinol. These are the structures. This is A for the cannabidiol, the B is for tetrahydrocannabinol, and C is for cannabinol. And we also conduct drug testing. We collect urine specimens and then proceed to screening test and finally the confirmatory test.
Sa mata ng ilan, wala na raw hustisya. Ang kriminal kayang lumusot at di nalalabas ang katotohanan. Pero ibahin nyo kami dito sa PNP Crime Lab. Para sa amin, the truth always prevails. dahil wala kaming krimeng inuurungan. Kilalanin ang PNP Crime Laboratory. Kakampi mo sa hustisya. Binuo ang PNP Crime Lab na may pangunahing layuning magsagawa ng iba't ibang forensic services at scientific investigations. Dynamic and highly motivated technical support ang hatid namin, di lamang sa lahat ng sangay ng PNP kundi pati na rin sa iba pang government agencies at higit sa lahat sa publiko. Through fieldwork, research at scene-of-the-crime operations at gamit ang state-of-the-art technology at human expertise, ginagampanan ng PNP Crime Lab ang mandatong ito for more than 50 years. Narito ang aming frontline services. Ang Decoder of Human Identity, DNA Analysis Division. Ang crime solver ng grupo na walang ebidensyang palalampasin. SOCO o Scene of Crime Operations. Ang kakampi ng katotohanan. Polygraph Division. Imprint intelligence ng grupo na walang di kayang kilalanin. Fingerprint Identification Division. Kakampi ng mga nabiktima at inapi, ang Medico Legal Division. Lahat ng bakas ng krimen, walang takas sa Physical Identification Division. Bisto ang mga namemeke sa Question Document Examination Division. Mukha ng hustisya ang mangingibabaw sa tulong ng Forensic Photography Division. Gamit ang siyensya sa iba't ibang pagsusuri at eksaminasyong kemikal, matutukoy ng Chemistry Division ang katotohanan at mga taong lulong sa droga. Bawat bala, walang kawala sa Firearms Identification Division. Kaming lahat ang sandigan ng PNP, ng gobyerno at ng lahat ng Pilipino sa paglutas ng mga krimen sa bansa. Para sa amin, Mahalaga ang integrity, credibility at accuracy. Sa lahat ng oras, 100% ang handa naming ibigay. Masusing inaanalisa ang lahat, walang labis, walang kulang, wala ring pagkiling sa kahit ano o kanino. Through these stringent work standards na aming gabay at sa kagitingan at katapangan ng bawat isa sa amin dito sa PNP Crime Lab, marami nang naresolbang kaso at naisulong na forensic advancements dito sa Pilipinas. Kaya naman di kagulat-gulat na sa buong PNP, ang Crime Lab ang unang unit na nakakuha ng ISO 9001 certification noong 2006. Bukod pa ito sa iba pang recognition na aming natanggap. Kung gaya namin, isa ka ring magiting na forensic na may expertise sa mga sumusunod, huwag mag-atubiling mag-apply sa aming tanggapan. Kailangan namin ng mga tulad mo. Tulad natin. Ito ang inyong PNP Crime Laboratory. Kakampi mo sa hustisya.
So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.